M100, it's in its 11th year now, and I think I've been with the conference in some shape or form from the very beginning.
Everything changed, and we are here at one of the historic hotspots in the world.
70 years ago, Potsdam was a place where the Potsdam Agreement was made.
I am here for the first time, and I find the initiative very interesting and very useful. The first reason is that we can exchange views on important issues related to Europe, the future of Europe and international relations. And the second reason is that we can establish contacts with important people all over Europe and have the possibility for future cooperation and networks.
I also think it's important to sit down in a relaxed atmosphere, particularly a beautiful place like this in Potsdam, and have a kind of off-the-record discussion with them. You know, what's your perception? What should we do? Because journalists are very intelligent people.
So it's not about journalists coming together, you know, in this very nice location and criticizing politicians for the decisions, but also take a very self-critical look at where media, at where journalism stands at the present moment. And therefore I'm always looking forward to be here, and it's one of the highlights for me. Yeah.
Your chance as journalists is to be the filters and build up the trust. Having worked in Europe for a long time, I always found it striking that journalists always take the position of their government. I have seen far too many press conferences in Brussels when journalists said, "How could you dare to do this to this and this government?" I don't want to mention any names here of countries, but it was fascinating that journalists of this particular country defended their government vis-à-vis the European Commission, for example. Funny.
In addition to an evolution of the internet and social media, which is that, you know, I don't need to sort of access a plurality of opinions because I just read the websites that agree with me. You know, so the media becomes confirming me in my prejudices and not exposing me to any counter-arguments. And again, I think we need to free up the media space. So whether people like it or not, they are obliged to deal with different arguments and to decide for themselves.
In these days, everything is going faster and faster, and the information flow is growing, and it's really one of the core duties of journalism to stick to our values, which means that we have to check the information before we publish it.
If you always report on conflicts, people expect the whole world to be a conflict. Whereas if you, for example, would report on initiatives that try to heal conflicts or that try to be productive with conflicts and help people and situations, then this might be a better idea to report on this because it would unite people. Of course, we have a situation that is very complex and it's hard for media to do the right thing.
We can do it by using two directions. One, by stop doing what we have been doing, and by two, to start doing what we have not been doing.
So if the system is as blind as thinking that we are not taking the analysis of the real social mess the people are in, because we just say they are populist and we work on moral high ground and they are nasty and whatever, then I think the system has lost. We need to fix the system, and we need to get different fixes, and we need to make them democratic and social.
I am not very optimistic for the future of Europe. This does not mean I'm pessimistic, but I'm very skeptical. And the reason is that there are many divisions among member states about various issues.
We are going from crisis to crisis at the moment in Europe. First it's the Ukraine crisis, then it's the Euro crisis, and then the refugee crisis. And obviously the focus of journalists and politicians, bureaucrats like me, is how do we solve the crisis? But you do not come to a better Europe, a more stable Europe, or a more stable world if you just do crisis management. You have to have a long-term vision and a long-term strategy. Where are you going and how do you get there? And so for the first reason I'm very happy to be here is because I think it's got a lot of very knowledgeable people, some from NATO and EU countries, others from the broader region, and it's a good opportunity to look at what is the long-term strategy.
Stabilizing East Central Europe, avoiding what happened in former Yugoslavia and avoiding what is actually happening in the Ukraine. This was the greatest challenge to the third European post-war order. It was the success story of history since 1989, and contributing to this process was, or is, as I think, the real success story of European integration, at least within the European Union after 1990. However, this success story does have two downsides. The first is, what is true for Poland or the Baltic states is not true for Ukraine and Georgia. And the second downside is the Western relationship with Russia. No doubt, mistakes have been made. Russia has been treated as a second-rate power, and the NATO-Russia Council always has been a 27-to-1 event.
The people of Europe, follow the debates. That's good. We have intense reporting on everything and make up their minds. And they see that there is no other way out of the crisis than a stronger Europe and more united.
The M100 Young European Journalists Workshop is now in its 11th edition. And this year we're extremely happy to be able to have invited 24 aspiring journalists from the countries of the European Partnership, and they gather together in Potsdam. And this year we're working on a very lively topic. We're working on journalism between politics, propaganda and prison.
Some people say that propaganda can be a positive thing, so I would really like to learn more about it and whether this statement can actually be true.
Propaganda is a crucial subject, especially nowadays with the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And it is up to journalists to create right ethical standards that will affect the future of the profession.
My name is Olesya Yaremchuk. I am from Ukraine, Lviv, and in our country we have a lot of problems last 10 years and even more with Russian propaganda, and it would be great if we will make some project to fight this propaganda.
Propaganda as a social practice is probably as old as mankind. What has changed over time is the means of communication, is our societies, and thus the quality of propaganda. Now, what we've been trying to do here in Potsdam with an amazingly talented group of young journalists is to analyze the relevance of propaganda, not only in regions of information warfare, but also in established democracies, and learn how to deal with it effectively. You have to understand propaganda in order to reveal it. That's what this workshop has been all about.
Die Frage der Ordnung der Welt ist mindestens so aktuell wie damals. Denn 1915 haben wir zwar die Potsdamer Ordnung, die bipolare Logik des Kalten Krieges überwunden, zu unserem Glück überwunden, doch an ihre Stelle ist auch 25 Jahre nach der Wiedervereinigung und dem Ende der Blockkonfrontation noch keine neue Ordnung getreten. Oder kürzer gesagt, 1990, 1992 mit dem Zerfall der Sowjetunion ist eine alte Ordnung zerbrochen, die Zweiteilung der Welt in Ost und West, aber eine neue Ordnung ist nicht an die Stelle getreten. Unser Nachbarland Frankreich hat den grenzüberschreitenden Terror Anfang dieses Jahres, Herr Botschafter, schon auf furchtbare Weise erfahren, als die Attentäter von Charlie Hebdo in ihre Redaktion eingedrungen sind, sie gestürmt haben, 9 Menschen ermordet haben. Das war ein Angriff auf Freiheit und Demokratie im Herzen des Landes, meine Damen und Herren, das Freiheit und Demokratie für Europa historisch errungen hat. Und in diesem Geiste, und ich bin sehr froh darüber, würdigt heute Abend die Stadt Potsdam die Redaktion von Charlie Hebdo mit dem M100 Sanssouci Medienpreis. Da ich nachher nicht mehr da bin, sage ich von hier aus schon mal herzlichen Glückwunsch dazu.
Dieser Preis heute ehrt die Toten und er ehrt die Überlebenden. Jeder hätte es verstanden, wenn die Journalisten und Künstler nicht weitergemacht hätten. Dass Sie und Ihre Kollegen, verehrte Monsieur Biard, es dennoch getan haben, dass es Charlie Hebdo noch immer gibt, das ist ein Trotzdem. Trotz der Morde an Ihren Freunden, trotz der Trauer um sie, trotz der Bedingungen, unter denen Sie heute arbeiten müssen. Dafür verdienen Sie jeden Preis und dafür verneige ich mich vor Ihnen.
En quelques minutes, à l'issue d'un horrible massacre, nous sommes devenus un symbole planétaire, l'incarnation de la liberté d'expression et de la liberté de conscience. Nous sommes devenus des héros. Je vais vous dire une chose, ce n'est pas notre travail. Personne, à Charlie Hebdo, n'a signé pour être un héros. Le rôle d'un journal, à plus forte raison quand il s'agit d'un journal satirique, n'est pas d'être un symbole. Les idées et les valeurs que nous défendons sont des valeurs universelles et en tant que telles, elles appartiennent à tous les citoyens du monde. Et tous les citoyens du monde doivent s'en emparer et les défendre.